Do you ever read a job post and think, you want me to do all of that? Are you sick of job descriptions that sound like tech wish lists? Because must know SQL, Python, Power BI, Excel, Tableau, predictive analytics, machine learning, generative AI. Basically everything except how to clone yourself to get it all done. It's absolute chaos. And if you're new to data, you're probably thinking, am I applying for a job or auditioning to be the next Marvel superhero? And the wild part is that it's not just people you're competing against anymore, it's machines. Because recruiters are using AI to filter resumes. Hiring managers are asking ChatGPT to write interview questions. Some companies are probably wondering whether to even hire a data analyst or just find someone who's really good at telling ChatGPT what to do. So now the big question is, how do you make yourself stand out in all of that chaos? If you want to make yourself unforgettable, keep watching. If you're new around here, I'm Tuan. I've helped over 500 data nerds land jobs across the world. And in this video, we'll be breaking down what AI really means to companies, why humans still matter, how to actually use AI to level up your applications, what tech to focus on, and some sneaky tips to help you stand out both in person and online. It's not about doing work harder, it's actually about working smarter. So let's get right into it. On LinkedIn, AI is a revolution. It's changing the world. At work, it's usually just another tab open right next to Excel. Using AI in the office means Slack bots that summarize meetings, automated Excel scripts that kind of work, and senior leaders going, we need AI, without really knowing what that means. The truth is, most companies use AI because they want to cut costs, automate repetitive tasks, and make cool presentations to pitch to potential investors. They're not fine-tuning LLMs. They're not training custom neural networks. They use AI to ask questions like, can we auto tag support tickets? Can we build a dashboard without hiring more analysts? Can ChatGPT clean up the messy product descriptions? Sometimes it works, and sometimes it really doesn't. Because ChatGPT doesn't know your revenue model, your data pipelines, or your business quirks. It's essentially like a word predictor, and it needs smart humans to actually guide it. Think of AI like a chainsaw. It can be powerful, fast, and game-changing, or a total disaster if you're not trained on how to use it properly. It's not enough to just have people who know AI or can use AI tools, because what companies really want are people who can use AI smartly to solve actual business problems, not just play around with it. And this is a skill that really brings you job security in this AI-driven world. If you're worried about AI replacing you, remember this. Companies aren't just hiring coders or dashboards, they're hiring context, judgment, and communication. Let me explain. AI might be able to identify an anomaly, but it can't really tell if it's a genuine business win, a Black Friday spike, a national holiday, or someone testing the site with a bunch of bots. You are bringing the context, the history, the why. You bring the real world experience AI just can't grasp. At least not yet. Because can AI tell your manager why conversion dropped? Maybe. But can it present it like a human without sounding robotic? Learn how to adjust the tone of the message based on the audience. Defend a metric when challenged by a product or a stakeholder. Simply prompting AI to produce answers isn't enough. What really matters is the ability to influence others through clear, tailored, and confident communication. When something breaks, can ChatGPT explain the issue to the marketing team without causing panic? Can AI manage a frustrated stakeholder, or can it get buy-in for a new KPI strategy? No. AI can deliver a message. You deliver trust. And that's your edge. AI can remix what already exists on the internet. But new problems, new ideas, new strategic bets, that's all you. No AI is dreaming up how to segment churn by behavior and life cycle stage while aligning it with your brand tone. That's when you step in. When a dashboard misleads a decision, no one blames ChatGPT. They blame the analyst behind it. The human is still accountable. This means being thoughtful, careful, and responsible matters a lot more now than it ever has. All of this brings us to a powerful opportunity, because AI doesn't just threaten your job, it can actually help you get hired if you learn how to use it the right way. Don't compete with AI, collaborate with it. If AI is here to stay, you might as well make it work for you, and here's how you do it. You take your resume and the job description of the role that you're applying for and feed them both into ChatGPT. Type in the prompt, what keywords am I missing? Which bullets can I rewrite to better match this job description? Let ChatGPT highlight the gaps in your resume and reword sentences to improve clarity. This makes you look more relevant without needing to second guess yourself. Take all the relevant past projects you've worked on and drop it into Claude or ChatGPT. Use the prompts to say something like, turn this into the STAR method. What would hiring managers be asking about this project? This helps you run solo mock interviews. Keep repeating this process until your answers feel very smooth and natural. Research is absolutely key to showing the employer you actually care about the role and the business. So some examples are, summarize the company's last 2 earnings calls. What are the common data challenges in e-commerce sales, for example? Because now you're showing up with context. You're showing up ready. Use AI to speed up the learning process. You can use prompts like explain regression analysis in plain English with a restaurant example. Give me SQL versus Python for data analysis, the pros and cons. This method just stops you from doom scrolling and wasting your precious time by just giving you answers quite quickly. You can also use AI to brainstorm, like what kind of public data sets could I use to simulate a retail company's KPI dashboard? Use AI for inspiration. Do the real work yourself. This is how you work with AI, by collaborating instead of full-on outsourcing. Now that you've learned to collaborate with AI instead of competing with it, the next question you should ask yourself is, what tech should I actually focus on as a data nerd? Getting into analytics. There's loads of tools out there for you, to learn. But what do you actually need to know? Let's start off with the must-know skills you should master first, because these are absolutely non-negotiable. There are others, but to come back later. Starting off with SQL. It's the language of the data. If you're in analytics, you need to know how to pull, filter, and join data. Just period. You don't need to be a wizard, but you do have to be fluent enough to explore, troubleshoot, and explain your queries. Second is just a general spreadsheet. Could be Excel or Google Sheets. Yes, still. Because most teams live in spreadsheets. You'll use them to clean data, mock up dashboards, build models, and communicate results to non-technical stakeholders. Next is Tableau or Power BI for data visualization. Just pick one. You don't need to be an AI expert. You just need to know how to use AI to work smarter. Use ChatGPT to summarize reports, prepare your analysis, and brainstorm narratives. Think of it like having a junior analyst you don't really have to onboard. Learn to speak inputs and outputs. Think of it like learning a new language, because the better you ask, the better the answer gets. Practice by using real-world examples to get it right. And next is the Copilot. These tools are quietly changed the game for spreadsheets or coding. They just help you write up formulas or automate your codes by cleaning your data and create charts way faster than before. You're not just here to code, you're here to solve. And here's what you should know. What makes your company money? What metrics matter most to your stakeholders? Can your analysts reduce waste, improve your margins, or optimize your operations? In your product or marketing, know what keeps customers coming back and what makes them leave. How can you retain your existing customers and expand as you grow? Business stakeholders want to understand which features drive repeat engagement, which users churn and when, and what behavioral signals predict loyalty. The best-in-class KPIs include, NRRs, CLTVs, DAU, WAU ratios, and feature adoption by churn. Customers don't care about your dashboards. They care about smoother experiences, faster support, and outcomes they actually value. And your job is to use data to identify friction, personalize communication, and highlight the wins. Translate their needs into tangible results. So how do you add value? By turning raw metrics into business decisions. This includes campaigns which they should invest in, features they should get rid of, customers to upsell to. Because great analysts don't just analyze, they influence results. If you prove that your work leads to outcomes like these, you already are ahead of 80% of your applicants. And in addition to what I mentioned earlier, you're gonna have to dabble into Python for automation, data cleaning, and modeling, DBT to make your SQL more modular and maintainable, Git to track your changes and collaborate with your fellow data nerds, and Notion for tracking your projects to make sure you're on time. All of this being said, tools aren't enough. Because here's the thing, anyone can list Python, but only very few can actually prove it. And what hiring managers care about is a project that shows you can work through ambiguity, a case study that shows real world thinking, and a takeaway that shows that you've improved the business. Because storytelling just always wins. So once you've got the skills, the awareness, and the experience working on some projects, what do you do next to make sure you stand out from the crowd? How do you go from just another resume to let's get this person in the room? Here's the thing they don't really tell you on job boards. You're not just a resume, you're a risk profile. And your job is to make that risk feel like a no-brainer. Because most people try to stand out by listing tools like Python, SQL, Tableau. But hiring managers, they're not hunting for tools. They're asking themselves one simple question. If I bring this person in, will they make my life easier or harder? So how do you stand out in that context? That's how it works. You don't get interviews for potential. You get them for clarity. Make sure your GitHub README is a story, not just a boring repo. What was the problem? What did you try? What did you learn? How does this relate to the business? Talk about the business impact. Write case studies for your projects like they're mini postmortems. We had churn, I investigated, I segmented, I found a pattern, I proposed a fix. That's how a data analyst thinks, not just code. Everyone thinks they're a quick learner, but you know what makes a hiring manager feel that? When you walk into the interview and say, I saw your company just launched X. Here's how I'd measure the success of the feature. That shows initiative, domain fluency, and critical thinking. You've moved from an applicant to a consultant. That's very rare for a candidate to do, and that's what's gonna make you memorable. Most people apply, wait, refresh their inbox, and repeat. But you're building publicly and learning in the open. You're sharing weekly recaps, what I learned about cohort analysis this week, how I use ChatGPT to debug this tricky SQL join. You're becoming visible to the people who make decisions. And when they finally need a new analyst in their team, they don't go through their boring resume pile. They remember you. So stop trying to be perfect. Be undeniably in motion. It's time to bring it home. Here's the uncomfortable thing that no one really wants to hear. AI isn't making bad applicants worse. It's making the average ones invisible. The louder things get, the more people pay attention to what's real. Now, here's what no one really tells the beginners. You don't need to be extraordinary. You just have to be valuable, useful to the team, to the business, and to the customer. Because AI can generate work, but it can't really generate trust. AI can answer questions, but it can't ask the right ones. AI can polish the numbers, but when something's off, you're the one who has to walk it back and forth in front of your team. That's all you. So if you're watching this and you've ever thought, do I really belong here? You absolutely do. But you've got to speak up, build in public, think like a business person, and never stop learning how to learn. The future isn't about being perfect, it's about being prepared. Let's make you impossible to ignore.